long story short, but also probably long at the same time, yes. Yes, I do. And do I think she is next? Do I think Harvey might be next? Absolutely, I do. Now, the state hasn't said that specifically, but there's evidence showing that they were aware of what happened. And I mean, I had to think back and take my notes because, well, like write down new notes. We couldn't take the notes that we took during the trial out of that jury room. They get disposed after deliberations. Minor details. Now, if and when the state goes after Wendy, I think they will. I think it's going to be to a lesser degree. It's not going to be the same charges, only because she insulated herself from her family, from the situation very, very well. Very well. And she also played dumb very well. I feel like that's when we saw the acting that Miss Donna referred to previously. She plays that part way too good. So I do think that she will be next. I just don't know what extent. I don't know what she will be indicted on, but she was 100% involved. 100%. Because how would they know Dan's routine, right? Obviously they were given his address, whatever, but the killers, the hitmen, they would have needed some sort of insight as to where they can find him, like what he would be doing, all of that, right? It's crazy. Also, her whole testimony in her mom's trial, I don't remember. I don't remember 500 sips of water. That has guilt written all over it. Anyone who knows anything about like interpersonal communication or body language, she's dripping in guilt. Okay, I honestly don't know how she sleeps at night, to be honest with you, but it's whatever. Neither here nor there right now. As far as did we discuss that in the jury room during deliberations? Not necessarily. We just described we discussed things about her relating to her testimony and just like things in regard to the case, because we had to stay on point. You know, that's what we were there to discuss. So not so much if we think she's next, but after we were released from our service, walking back, being escorted by the bailiffs to the where we parked and stuff, it was very interesting to hear everyone's opinions, because at that point in time we were allowed to talk about it because we were dismissed from the jury, whatever. Everyone agrees she's probably gonna be next. We just don't know to what extent. Because yeah, like I said, she insulated herself from the situation and her family way too good. Like I said, she plays the role of dumb, and you know that term ignorance is bliss. Like, she is taking that to a whole new level. Now, she states that in her testimony, she the morning that Dan was shot, right, she was going to meet some friends for lunch, but she had to stop by the liquor store for like a stock at the bar party later on, whatever. Now, the liquor store she chose was completely out of the way. The route she took, completely out of the way. There was that exact liquor store that was closer to her house and in the complete opposite direction, but she chose to go this very long route out of the way, and says she normally takes Trescott Drive, so she goes to try to turn, but there was the roadblock because at that point in time law enforcement had arrived on scene. Dan was rushed to the hospital, yada yada yada. She says she encountered the roadblock, turned around real quick, and just like went a different way to the liquor store. Then they also brought in another witness. The state brought in another witness, the officer who was working like at the roadblock, basically. And he states, which contradicts what Wendy said, that you could see Dan's house, the crime scene, all of the police cars and EMS, whoever else was there, right? You could see that from the house, from the roadblock. And whereas she claimed you couldn't see it. So, knowing that, he also identified her car in the trial during his testimony. He saw her car, and most people, like when they get to a roadblock, they gotta turn slowly to get, like, we're like, oh, what's going on, like processing it. No, she like whipped in and out, right? And now knowing that she could see the house, and she didn't make any calls to the daycare, to Dan, to check on him, the kids, no calls to law enforcement to see if anything was okay. Like, come on, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up at all. What else do I have? And then her ex-boyfriend Jeff Lacasse testifying. Now, granted, I will say I think it's very weird that she told him about the hitman thing in confidence, and then he didn't report it. But again, it's, what are you gonna do at this point? But that's one thing, like towards the end of their relationship, they were discussing, like the relocation thing, because apparently that Wendy always talked about that, and like the divorce file, yada yada yada. And she said, well, can I tell you something in confidence? And she said, yeah, my brother looked into that hitman thing, because at that point in time he was there to witness a joke from Charlie, like, oh, a TV is cheaper than a hitman or something like that. I'm getting off track. Anyway, yeah, but anyway, his testimony, like, basically the last time that they got together, July 11th, 2014, they met up somewhere. I think it was hot yoga, and basically he, at that point in time, knew the relationship was over. So he like literally like backs off as they were leaving, whatever, didn't say anything. But then Wendy turns around and asks him very weird and specific questions about his travel plans in the coming days. And, you know, with that, the first time the hitman had come to Tallahassee, they rented a car, a Nissan, that looked just like Jeff's car at that time. And that point in time too, she was asking specific questions about his travel. So, you know, it's just a little weird. I think she was trying to set him up. And then all the details that they had, she had to have provided it. I mean, obviously. And then, let's see what else. Calling her kids by her last name before Dan was ever shot. And then legally changing their last name and the older one's middle name, mind you. Middle name and last name 1 year after he died. And also with that, she didn't take the kids to his funeral. That's a little strange. Yeah. They both, Wendy and Harvey, both knew. They didn't say anything. That is a crime in itself. And I do think they're next. I'm just curious to see when and what they're charged with.